Hi everyone, I'm Priya from It's Okay Yaar and welcome back to another episode of US Visa Simplified. And if you're new today, It's Okay Yaar is a content platform for South Asian immigrants and we aim to educate, entertain and empower them. Hi Sonal, thank you for joining. We will leave Sonal's details in the description box, her email address as well as everything about her law firm in case you want to get in touch. So definitely check that out. But let's begin. So Sonal, the first question, what is EB2 NIW?
Okay, well, it's a very hot topic right now because everybody is kind of exploring it. It's an EB2 green card category, which is National Interest Waiver. What it actually means is that you are requesting the US government to waive the requirement of a labor market test and a job offer in the interest of national importance. Basically, you are requesting them that to give you the green card without going through the labor market test, which means even if there are enough people in United States available to do your job, you still should get the green card because the endeavor that you are following is of national importance or in interest of United States to give you the green card so that you can pursue it, which is going to be helpful on whole for United States.
Okay, so that I understand this correctly, a perm is not required for this and I don't need an employer to actually sponsor this for me. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay.
So no perm process and you can self-sponsor.
I can self-sponsor. Okay, but I definitely need a job to be eligible for EB2 NIW.
Well, you need to show that you are involved in an endeavor. Okay. It could be with an employer, it could be research, it could be anything. But you have to show that you are involved in an endeavor which you are eligible and in a position to further advance, and that's in interest of United States.
Got it. So Sonal, just to understand a little more deeply about the eligibility process, I know we've heard about the general ability test and the national waiver ability test as well. Can you shed a little more light on what the eligibility factor is actually for EB2 NIW?
Sure. So national interest falls under EB2 category.
Okay.
So you still need to, the first step is that you're eligible for an EB2 category. Right? One is that either you have an advanced degree, which is any degree above bachelor's, or you have an equivalent of an advanced degree, which is a bachelor's degree plus 5 years of progressive experience in your field of expertise, or you have exceptional ability. Either one will qualify you for an EB2. And once you are qualified for that, the second step is the National Interest Waiver eligibility, which is basically based on a matter of Dhanasar, and it has 3 prongs. The first prong is that the proposed endeavor that you are going to be working in is of substantial merit and national importance. The second is that you are well positioned to advance that proposed endeavor. And the third is that it is of significant national importance. So how do you prove all these? So the most important is the definition of proposed endeavor. It has to be very narrowly categorized and explained what is that specific endeavor that you are in and your expertise in. So for example, engineering is an occupation. You cannot just say that I am in engineering. You will have to narrow it down to specific field of engineering. In that also specific projects or type of work or organization or initiatives that you are working in to explain that what type of field you are working in. So it has to be very niche, very narrowly categorized and explained. That's the most difficult part of NIW application, to explain your field very clearly and very narrowly.
Got it. So that was very helpful, Sonal, the way you put it. So that was the first prong, if I understand. Can you help us understand the second prong?
Yes. So the second prong is the beneficiary has to be in a position to advance that proposed endeavor. Now, how do you show that? You have to show that you have either an education related to your field, which is advanced degree, PhD, whatever you have, your experience that you have been working in this field or how much you have already invested or contributed to the field. You have patents, you have users, you have investors, you have market research, you have a proposed plan of how you are going to achieve those goals, and if you have specific projects that you're working on, what is the status of that project currently and how you are going to achieve that project. So those are all your elements to show that you are actually in a position to advance in the proposed endeavor and achieve those.
Got it. So the first prong was proposed endeavor. The second prong was moving forward with that proposed endeavor based on everything you covered. Is there anything else that one must know about moving forward with this proposed endeavor?
So the third prong that comes into picture is that this endeavor has to be of national importance. So you have to figure out and you have to make sure that you explain how your endeavor, your field, your expertise and whatever you're working in is of national importance for United States. Now there are different fields that come into picture. Right? So you can focus on, to show importance, you can focus on the prospective impact this field or this project is going to have, global impact or national impact. Either it is something which has global implications or national implications. You can also show economic impact, not just global or regional or just like overall social good impact of your endeavor. You can also show that these areas are already described and defined as a national importance by United States, such as manufacturing processes, improved modern manufacturing processes or medical advancements. These are already initiatives or fields which US considers to be of national importance.
So is there a place where someone can access information on where it says what those fields are?
So you have to look at critical infrastructure fields categorized by US. Those are the fields which are, as the name suggests, critical infrastructure. If you remember when there was a COVID travel ban, there was an exception you could get for visa, which was if you are working under critical infrastructure fields. So those fields are already considered critical for United States, right? And the fields that are included in there are a bunch there, but it's energy sector, healthcare sector, information technology sector, food and agriculture sector. So there are a lot, but those are broad sectors. But you also have to then further describe in that sector what particular field you are in and what particular project or what particular initiative that you're working in that's going to impact nationally to United States.
So Sonal, it was really helpful to understand the three prongs, but what type of evidence is actually needed to prove out these three prongs? Like how does the evidence aspect work here?
So it could be anything. You have to make sure that it corresponds to what you are claiming. So your statements and claims have to be corroborated with documentary evidence. It could be pertinent data, it could be news articles, it could be conferences, patents, it could be book, it could be authored articles. So it could be anything that actually highlights and supports your claims and statements that you're making in the application. And it clearly shows what you're trying to tell the adjudicator. Now you also have to understand that these adjudicators are not experts in these fields. So it is very important that you articulate it in a very simple term, but also backed up with documentary evidence. If there is no direct evidence available because of the nature of the field, then you can actually refer to comparable evidence, which is not basically listed in like traditional form of evidence, but it could be an interview. If you're relying on that you have been published or you are an expert in the field, then you could refer to your interviews, which others have taken of yours as an expert in the field. So you really have to think out of the box and see what evidence is really helping your case, and as long as it depicts what you are trying to tell the officer, that should be helpful.
So Sonal, this sounds extremely difficult for someone to actually even be eligible to pursue EB2 NIW. But curious to understand what the advantages are of EB2 NIW, especially for Indians, because the two pieces that we covered were that there is no perm that is actually required and one can self-sponsor. So are there other advantages that people, especially Indians, would have considering the green card wait time is just so long?
So yes, the advantages are, as you mentioned, no perm required, self-sponsorship, no job offer required, and for most of the other countries, the dates are current, right? So it's very fast for them. There is no perm process, so you're cutting down at least 2 years time right there. So it's beneficial. But for Indians, why it is not so beneficial is that it is still under EB2 category.
Okay.
So it's still gonna be in that backlog situation. But it's helpful and beneficial because then it's, if you're self-sponsoring it, then it is your own I-140, which cannot be withdrawn by any employer because you are not working there anymore or the job offer is not anymore available. So that's the biggest flexibility that you have, that in the back you have an I-140 approved which is going to be there for you for the next 10 years, even if you want to stay on H-1B, or even if you go to other countries in the meanwhile for like other work opportunities, this is still there for you to come back and rely on it to get into your green card situation faster.
Got it. So if I have an H1B today and I go through EB2 NIW and I get that I-140 and then I choose to leave or go back to my country or any other country, I can choose to come back at any point and I would still have my H1B and I-140. Is that correct?
Yes.
Like, okay.
So I-140, so beyond 6 years of H1B, you need an I-140 approved to get further extensions. So if your dates are not current and you have left US and few years down the line you want to come back because now you have an opportunity, you can get back on H1B because of cap. You remain cap exempt because of that I-140. So that's the biggest flexibility. And if your field of endeavor or like proposed endeavor is such which actually takes you to different countries, then that's a great flexibility to have so that you can actually go explore and build your profile, even working out of the US. If that helped build you profile further, then you're actually can be eligible for an EB1 A as well. So that's a NIW can be a good stepping stone to build your profile for an EB1 A.
That is, you literally read my mind because I was just thinking about the same thing. Like EB1 A is so difficult to get. EB2 NIW seems even more harder to get. So my question was, for someone who's gotten an EB2 NIW, will they be naturally eligible to get an EB1 A? But my understanding is that you still have to build your profile and get into that. It's not that everyone who gets EB2 NIW might be eligible for an EB1A.
Yeah, because there is a separate criteria for EB1A. You still have to meet those criterias. But if you are already in a field which is cutting edge and you're meeting all those requirements, you're still ticking quite a few boxes of EB1A, but there are certain requirements and criteria for EB1A that you still need to prove. In the end, EB1A, the other point of EB1A is that there is a two-step determination. The first is that those criteria you have to meet, right? And then there is a second step determination, which is final determination, which is mostly discretionary.
Yeah.
Like the overall officer thinks that you qualified despite meeting the three requirements. So you can still build an EB1A. It's a good stepping stone. At least it gives you an I-140 in place as a backup, and then you keep on working towards your EB1 filing. And once you're ready, you can go for it. And the best part is you retain the priority date.
Priority date. So that's amazing. Yeah, you have the time and flexibility. You get to keep the priority date, and that's amazing. Okay, super helpful. So Sonal, was very helpful to understand the entire EB2 NIW, but I'm sure everyone who is watching has like the two big questions, which is what is the timeline for this entire process and what are the filing fees like?
Well, timeline depends on the preparation of the application, right? If you are just starting out, you've just started working with the lawyer and you don't know anything about NIW, it will take some time for you to understand the requirements, work on it and then. But once you're ready with your documentation and your profile is ready, then it depends on the lawyer you're working with how fast they can move. But from USCIS perspective, the timelines is there is premium processing available, but it's not 15 days, it's 45 days. Okay. So, but still, it's faster. It's still within 45 days you can get an approval from the date of filing. The filing fee is the same as of any I-140, which is $700, and premium processing is $2,500.
Got it. Okay. Thank you so much. I hope you all also learned a lot about EB2 NIW. And if you are in a field where this could be something that's relevant for you, like Sonal mentioned, look up those critical fields in the US, and maybe it could be a chance for you to explore and build your profile. But if you have more questions and if you'd like us to create more specific topics with an immigration lawyer, please leave that in the comment box. If things are not going your way, remember, it's okay, Yaar. This is Priya signing off. Have a wonderful day.